going to call the Fair Commission meeting of October 11, 2023, 5:30 p.m. to order. We'll do the roll call first. Kenneth Sweeney.
Here.
John Trudeau.
Here.
Dave Littner.
Here.
Wayne Husted.
Husted here.
Dharma Harmon.
Here.
Lori Domsel. Here. Alderman Jason Craig.
Here.
Alderwoman Michelle Eichmann. Not available. And Rosemary Bosch. Here. All right. We will open the meeting up to the citizen comment period. Anybody here to make any comments? Anybody? All right, we'll move on to number 3. Discuss any issues or new ideas that arose at the fair. Anybody have anything to start with?
I don't think there's any, I'm not aware of any big issues this year other than the heat.
Heat was a big one.
That was the hottest fair we've ever had.
I don't
The
ever
fire
remember
department
it
was
being
busy.
that hot.
Right, for the
Lifetime.
whole weekend.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to, the health department had to have one vendor stop selling because they weren't approved to sell beverages that they were making on site, and we had to have another vendor close down and not sell it all because of their inability to provide safe food for the public due to a excessive amount of what we would call priority violations that they couldn't fix on site. So they did, they cooperated, they closed, we didn't have any issue, arguments or anything, they just closed.
That the one at the
Very
very end, that when we walked by, the trailer wasn't open and then all of a sudden he appeared?
Yep.
Okay.
And then it was a big, yeah, we went there early on because we knew last year they had been a problem, having a lot of issues trying to keep food hot and cold. And, so we went there early, no one was there. We came back later and it was a lot of issues. So we discussed it with them, tried to find solutions, and there was no way they could fix everything they had on site. And she said, agreeably, I'll just close. It's too hot. I can make more money at my restaurant. They have a brick and mortar, so she just left. And I would say, given their history of being poor operators 2 years in a row, we would probably not want them back again. And that's been our policy with other operators, to not let them back after 2 poor operating years.
Is that a different than the number 4 that we're gonna go into?
Yeah, this is, it's called T&T Cafe. This other one is a different vendor from Illinois. And other than that, it was a lot of issues with temperatures. I mean, it was hot, so they were a lot of cold holding issues and a lot of non-compliant. It's required they have mechanical refrigeration for this event. And a lot of people miss that in the rules. So we're going to start resending the rules with the packets when they get their mailing from the clerk's office, highlighting that section, maybe potentially trying to get in touch with some of the vendors that are repeat violators, ahead of time, calling them, reminding them, which we shouldn't have to do because they all have licenses and they all should know what they're doing. But
Is it more so with the ones that don't have a vehicle
always
than
will
the
be.
ones that are that just put the stand up? Okay.
However, at this event, it's to the benefit of the vendors when they get electric power from their homeowner or business or whoever they're renting the space from, because they're not reliant on a generator, and that's that's a good thing, so we wanna encourage that as much as possible to keep them getting their power from
Yeah, as long
an
as they don't-
actual
as long
electric
as they don't
source.
keep
Blowing
the
fumes.
fuses or the breaker.
Or
and
the,
or they're
at
doing
the
it.
power
I know,
poles in front
sausage
of
guy
the
threw my
church.
breaker 3 times.
Yeah. Those refrigeration units were working hard that day. So we were there a lot longer than we have been in previous years, just because of the excessive amount of temperature issues and trying to solve people's problems for them, so.
Was there a
There
lot
were
more?
actually more vendors too this year.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
there were more food vendors?
Probably 8 to 10 more, I
Yeah.
would say, with food this year.
Yeah, we had more
Mhm.
vendors in
Mhm.
general,
Yep.
food
Yeah.
and merchandise. We had more this year than we did last year.
Is there a way of getting one of those sheets prepared of how many vendors we had and what the expenses were that we normally get?
What do you mean, what the expenses were?
Usually Sandy always had a sheet prepared that said, we had 168 vendors, we took in X amount of money, we spent this much for the toilets, we spent everything
Oh.
at the fair.
I think it's
Yeah.
something that
Yeah, we did that earlier in the
Yeah.
year, so we can do that for the next one.
Right, but then that would also show what we had for donations and that, which also, it's kind of not on this, but I had a question. Do we have another donation that was sent in?
No one sent,
after
no
or
one gave me
delivered?
anything after, only the ones that you gave.
Just the ones that I signed?
Yep.
Okay. So nothing was sent in? I thought was sending one in.
Swiss Street,
Yeah,
that was sent in.
I didn't sign anything for Swiss Street.
I'd have to go back and look. It's been so long. I only have whatever you dropped off.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
She brought it up to the city.
Okay, I'd have to go and look.
Okay.
I don't have any checks that have to be deposited. I know you're waiting for one to come back from somebody.
That was from Romy's.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look.
What was it? Swiss,
Swiss Street,
Swiss Street.
Positive Grove, yeah. And I can send you an email on that. It may have went, right over to Treasury, and they may have just deposited it, so I'll have to look.
Right, I know I didn't do a thank you
Yep,
letter. or
yep.
anything on that, so don't wanna miss them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'll check on that then.
On another thing, I know that the Forest Home Avenue being closed was still another very big issue on that end. I was hearing that people were getting ticketed from Muskego for coming in from off of 36. They were getting warnings and for coming down the road, even though we had
Off of
permission.
36?
Well, when you come in from that side, from Muskego area,
Mhm.
when you're coming down Forest Home.
Oh, you go to, okay.
Where we were able to get permission from the county
Mhm.
to open the road for coming to the fair.
Mhm.
And I had a number of people tell me that they were issued tickets for coming to the fair. And they
Oh,
were
yeah,
all
I don't
upset
know
about that.
I don't know anything about that.
And
I
we
The only
really
thing
can't
I
do a
addressed
we
everybody
can't-
either to go to the police department or to go to the city hall.
Yeah, well, I mean, Glenn
It's
said,
a
remember, the
Muskego.
road would be open, but they're not gonna encourage, because there were no
Lines.
lines.
Correct.
So,
But when I talked to, I think it was Lori at the one that does the road thing, and she got permission that said you can have the vendors and you can have people going access to the fair.
okay, I don't know who
So-
Lori is.
Oh, we should have straightened it over
Miller.
Muskego before
Oh.
the fair.
Yeah, it would have to be a Muskego thing, because we don't
Right.
have jurisdiction.
And nobody said anything about coming from Hales Corners up. It was
Right.
only the ones coming from, they said that there was a officer sitting there right at the barricade.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know anything about
That's,
that.
that's,
the first I've
That would be Muskego, yeah.
Right. Right.
that's our, we should
Do you
have
know anything about that?
Muskego.
Do you know
No,
anything
I
about
didn't,
that?
this is the first time hearing of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
could have got a lot of people if they would have put the no parking signs out, would have got a lot of cars. But they parked all the way up to the road. to St. Martin's Road
On Forest Home.
on Forest Home. And they were parking long ways inside. They were,
Oh.
there was one sitting out there yesterday looking at the deer, just parked in the middle of the road. I'm like,
Is that open yet or not?
no,
It's not yet.
no. But that doesn't stop cars from going through
Yeah.
and not stopping because
Yeah.
they think that the poles don't mean anything yet.
It's funny, on my phone, on the Apple app, it's open.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
It started taking us down there, but I'll go up and down on Saturday or Sunday, but not during the week.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Well, I know
nobody-
I had
when
to take
there-
it a little bit to get
Nobody's
to my
working, you know.
brother-in-law's shop, but that's the only way you can get there.
How is the police force? Anything major?
Same old, same thing, heat issues, so a lot of those calls. Nothing out of the norm,
No other trouble though, nothing major.
nothing major.
Good.
I know there was one call from a girl that she was overheated, and I looked at her and I said, you know, I'm wondering why she's totally in goth, head to toe, black sweatshirt, black jeans. And I'm like, I'm wondering why you're hot.
Well, look at you guys with the police department, you gotta wear the vests and oh my God.
That's where you wear the cold vest underneath.
Yeah.
Anything else under new ideas or anything?
Were there any issues with the phones working this year that anyone had?
I got through, so I had no issues this year.
Yeah, I got through. We got through. From our tent.
Good. We didn't have any issues with trying to get in touch with whoever we were trying to contact either. But that was a biggie last year.
Yeah, last
The
year
year
was.
before, yeah. All right, well, on to number 4. Angela, it's all you.
That's me again. Gosh. So I don't know if you had a chance to read. Well, you've gotten these in the past, correct? I think I forwarded my letter that I sent to it was a new applicant this year, who we then discovered this year it was Taqueria Teotihuacan, and then we discovered they are affiliated with Taqueria de la Ciudad, who we did tell they couldn't come back after multiple years of poor operating. It was actually his mother-in-law who had run the previous operation. So when I asked if they were related, and he said no, I guess, I mean, that's not also providing false information. So that's another issue we had. He did come back after I sent this letter to talk to us in person, and that's the email that Lauren then wrote, our health officer. He was pleading his case that he's no longer operating in conjunction with them. He communicated, that he's a completely separate business. The only thing we could offer him at that point, because we had already told them they couldn't come back, is Lauren said he could write a letter petitioning the Fair Commission, explaining how he's separate, how he can conduct his business safely, different than the last business, and then have the commission decide if he can come back or not. Since,
And what's your recommendation? He lied to you once.
yeah, my recommendation would be no, because in the past, now I haven't read his letter, he hasn't sent a petition. I mean, he hasn't sent a letter petitioning to come back, so I would have to see what he would explain in that letter. The menu for this year was the exact same menu that the previous operator had. And in past years, we would talk to the people who would come in to apply, and we would go through all the rules, and we know we're going to do that, and then a different person would show up on the day of, and they wouldn't have any of the things that we discussed right. They wouldn't have anything that we talked about, and they said, we didn't know, and there were different people, and so no one was really taking responsibility. This this new person who claims to be Taqueria Teotihuacan, I believe, I can't remember what is his name, Alejandro, he is the person who signed the inspection report from the previous year. So they're very highly tied in together, and I think it's just a lot of misleading information. I think it's the same operation, just a different name. But I guess in all fairness, we should take into account if he does send a letter for next year's fair,
Yeah, he's still gotta-
what he says,
Yeah.
which he hasn't done yet, so.
And he may not.
Has
He may not.
We'll cross
only-
that bridge when we come to
Yeah.
it.
Has he only been at the St. Martin's Fair? He hasn't been at any other City of Franklin things that you've dealt with him?
Or even in the state.
Okay.
So, but he did mention to Lauren that he's been asked to not operate at some other places in Chicago area, so.
Well,
Yeah.
By the way.
okay.
I don't know why he
Word for
volunteered that
something that's
information.
come back.
Or what he meant by, I mean, obviously, I think he meant because of poor operating, but,
Jeez.
so we'll, I guess we'll just wait and see, but just so we brought it up again that he, has that option to petition the commission for next year.
If he decides to come back, or he might just cut his losses. and
Yeah,
not-
I just don't understand why you would wanna go through all of that if, you know it's gonna be tough, and you know we're gonna be there, and you know we're gonna be closely watching.
And there's a lot of different
And there's-
taco and Mexican stuff up and down the
Yep.
street.
I just don't know how you could possibly make enough money to make that worth it, but.
All right, what's next?
Number 5, discuss possibly writing a letter to the vendor of Brett Rossbach and homeowner for the large amount of garbage was left behind.
Karen can take this.
Yeah, so Dale, from the Department of Public Works stopped up to talk to us after cleaning up and said there were loads of rotten vegetables left behind. And it took them several hours to clean it up, and the boxes that they were in were rotten because the vegetables were rotten, so they would pick up the boxes and the boxes would fall apart, and he said it was just a horrendous mess. And he was the one that actually wrote a letter to the homeowner and to the vendor explaining what had happened. And he asked if we, as a commission, could send a letter as well, so I thought that would be up to you guys. If you want to draft a letter, I can do that.
So this letter was already sent out to Mickey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I did send him a copy of the letter that I received for this, telling him to not depend on my son, to always be there for him, you
Yeah.
know. He has a son-in-law that's there that can throw all his garbage away. And I think he's the one that left that pile in the center because he just didn't want to walk all the way over to the dumpsters to throw it out.
Yeah, and he said it was 30 by 40 feet long and 4 feet high. He
See,
said it
and
was
I
like
had
some.
gone in before he started unloading and stuff because I was hot, so I had to get in the air, you know, so I don't know what he did.
He said when Dale came in, he said, I don't even know where it all came from. It was like a trailer load or a semi-load of just rotten vegetables. He
I'm
said it
sorry
was
about
so
that. Had I known
huge.
he was doing that, I would have for sure.
Oh, if I would have known that, I would have
Yeah.
called Mickey back and he would have had it loaded into the dump. He would have picked his truck and put it back into the garbage dump because he used to be by me and that's what he used to do.
Somebody said that
Yes.
thought he was on
Mickey
yours
used to
at
be
one
down by
point.
me and then his mom and him got into a fight and we had to move. His mom was there, she had seniority.
And then I got
Mickey
blessed with him.
Lucky you.
Well, in the rules
Congratulations.
though, in the rules prior to any changes, it said that the homeowner is responsible to clean
Correct,
up.
correct.
Yeah.
I had asked in the morning when they were out and I had asked specifically if there was any, and I was told by all the guys that were picking up the garbage that there was nothing up. So I did not know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have called Mickey.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's blaming anything. We just wanted it to be brought out that it happened.
Oh, yeah.
And to the Public Works Department, I mean, they did a fantastic
Yes, they
job.
did.
By 6 o'clock
They
in the
always do.
morning, you couldn't even tell there was a fair.
Well, I'll let them know that. They'll be happy to hear that.
Oh, it was, they
Yeah.
do just a phenomenal job.
They were out during the fair in the
Yep.
heat, collecting the stuff and everything, so they do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Again, I apologize that happened, so. I'm sorry.
So I don't know if you want me to write a letter or if you think the letter that went out is fine. I don't know if you've talked to Mickey or.
I have not, he's not responded to me at all, you know, so,
Well, I have a copy, keep a copy of that when he shows up next.
I've got my
We're
copy,
not
yeah.
gonna have this gonna happen again, period.
I
And
run
that should
in,
be good. I don't think we gotta send another letter.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that too.
I run into him quite often, I'll make sure he sees it.
Okay,
And
thank
you will, and I'll just give them a cake where you might not be walking for a while.
Well.
All right.
You didn't hear that.
Number 6, discuss updates to the St. Martin's Bear rules.
Yeah, so we, I think you all have a copy, and all the yellow highlights are something that we went through and tried to make them a little more clear or a little easier to follow.
Who updated this?
The clerk's office via the information we received from vendors and homeowners, and I talked to the mayor also about some of these issues. So we all went through that. Most of them are just making the rules more clear. There were some changes, like the time change. That was actually brought to us by several vendors because they thought 6 o'clock was too early to get in there for a lot of places. Part of that was due to it being dark, and the mayor did agree with that as well, and that was why we moved it back an hour or two, because it was dark, and that was another issue with some of the vendors and some of the homeowners, that it was past dark and it was hard for people to see what was going on and getting things tucked away and such. So that was probably the biggest change to all of this. So if you have any questions or comments, I mean, feel free. But that was something that, we had heard on a.
It used to be, okay, it's gonna be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday.
It used to be 6 to 6.
It used to be 6 to 6,
Mhm.
and then it was 8 a.m. to, it was 9 p.m.
9.
Right.
Yeah.
So music would stop at 8 p.m., which would make the music stop at 7 p.m.
Right.
And the beer sales stop at 7 p.m.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that should, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe not from 6 to 6, maybe 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. That'd give,
If
the
memory
roads closed
serves me
then.
correct, isn't it supposed to be the Bear Commission votes and changes the rules, and then it goes to the Common Council?
Yep.
Yes.
And then
Yep,
change?
and these are just, it's a draft, if you see
Okay.
that, it's just a draft.
Mhm.
And the mayor had suggested 8 for both days as a more uniform starting time, 8 a.m.
I did have a few comments from vendors too, that the 6 o'clock second day is pointless for them, because obviously, they're, except for
Well, the
maybe
trouble
a
is
few
they gotta
coffee-
get in, the roads
They
closed
do,
at 6, and so
yeah,
if they.
and they were complaining that it was excessively early for them to have to be there with no customers, no sales. So
Again, it was a very hot weekend, and I do know that there has been years where 6 o'clock, there are people already there trying to buy on Sunday and on Monday. Even though the fair doesn't start on Sunday until 8, they're usually there. And this year there wasn't.
And we had comments from the vendors that it's hard to set up in the dark too. So, that was one of the biggest complaints from our vendors that contacted us. And like I said, it's just a suggestion, but that's what we had heard from more than a handful.
I had a question regarding the number 2.
And that,
When-
we were just kicking that around because we were trying to make it easier on,
Why would it go to 10 feet in increments of 10?
because we were trying to think of ways to make it easier for the people, because we have people that come in and, like, we had a couple this year that got 15 feet and really needed 30 feet. So we thought, knowing what the homeowners are renting out to these people, if they're renting out 10 feet, then we charge for 10. If they're renting out 20 feet, then we charge for 20. If they're
But on
renting
the
out 30.
background that you don't know is that it was originally always 30 feet. And we
Yep.
condensed it down to 15 feet so that vendors that did want 10 feet would be able to walk around their stand.
Right,
10 feet there's really no room to do anything
right.
on that.
Right, and we started at 10 to make it easy. I mean, again, it was a suggestion, and this didn't come from me, just so you know. It came from staff, because they're trying to figure out how to charge these out and make it easier during the application process.
Which is why we always have had the extra 5 feet going on, because some people want 45 feet, that's why it was the 15. Add an extra 5 feet, you can't do that to the 15, you need to have 30.
Right.
So
Right,
that's
and-
why we did
And
the-
here we thought we would do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so they could do it in increments of that as well. And with the price adjustment, it actually serves the commission better with the rates, so it
We
would be
just
more
raised,
income.
but we just raised the fee a year ago to add in the.
I understand that.
That wasn't a year ago.
We didn't raise
No.
the fee?
No, I don't think the fee's been raised since I've been.
We raised it from $80 to $90.
That was not a year ago, though. That was, I'll have to go back and look, but I know that was quite a while ago. That was not a year ago.
I didn't say it was a year, I said it was a couple, it was a
Oh, I thought
little
you said it
while
was
ago.
like
We
a
raised it
year ago.
up to go, so it would be even going. And then you're gonna add on the $7 for the background checks?
Yes.
Yeah, because we get charged $7 for every background
That's
check.
fair.
That's reasonable, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, every
And the
time we run a
homegrown-
background check on someone, the city is charged $7.
And we're adding it to the homegrown as well, because they get charged nothing, so.
They get charged nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So they'll be-
So this year, the city paid for all the homegrown people that we ran background checks on.
So
We never charged for.
So
it.
it's
So actually, the
always
city paid
been,
for all of them.
Yeah, really, the city paid for all of them, yeah.
right, but it's always been the background checks for the last 40 years that the city has been paid for?
Trying to think of how long we've been doing the background checks.
Good answer. Background check's been done a
Yeah,
long
a
time.
while.
A
I
long
mean,
time.
I know I was 15 years in the commission before God.
Yeah. And I know I got them every year. I mean, I've been in Lions Club, I've got it as long as 20 years. As do a background check, and they
Yeah.
charge us $7. I
Yeah.
come in and get the license.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just the city is trying to recoup for that because the St. Martin's Fair runs in such a deficit every year. I mean,
We
the
were told we were
bathrooms.
never supposed to make a profit.
Right, but I mean,
There's a difference between making a profit
I
and
understand.
coming up.
I mean,
with $20
the
extra
bathrooms,
figure.
what are $17?
The $7 should be not even a conversation. We should, for sure. I mean,
When I was going through, is $7, is that gonna be enough to cover everything? Is it gonna go up again next year before we get to the?
Well, we don't have any determination.
Okay.
It's the state that
The
sets.
Department of Justice.
or
And it's been
Department of
$7
Justice.
for as
Quite
long
a
as I
while.
can remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't set that. That's what we're charged, so
Okay.
we're just putting that.
Right, I'm just saying, because if we're gonna do this, and we put the rules before the fair starts up, I wanna make sure that you're being charged the correct dollar amount, not that it's $7.50 or
Yeah, no,
$8
it's-
coming forward, is what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah, and we, like she said, the Department of Justice sets that, so we have no control over that.
Okay. I did have a bunch of people that were mobile selling dogs this past year, or this past Labor Day, that I literally walked over to Romy's and escorted them out of the fair. One was on Sunday and one was on Monday.
Did you get the police department then?
I did.
To help you? Okay,
Yeah, at the police department at Romy's.
okay.
So when they were over there, so I had talked to the 3 officers that were down there.
Okay.
And helped me get her out there of selling her, I don't remember, one was like, it was like a 8,000 she wanted on these, I'm like, are you kidding me? What is it,
What fair
gold?
does she think she's at?
She had them in the baby carriage and was going with them down and then there was another one on Monday.
Did she have a sign or something that said? or-
Yes, on the baby carriage
Oh,
that
she
said.
did. Oh.
She had a
okay.
stroller.
She had a stroller,
She had a
yes.
stroller with dogs in it.
Yes.
And she was walking down there and she had signs that said puppies for sale or,
Oh, wow.
Mhm. Two different ladies.
I
Oh.
bought 3.
You bought 3. Good for you.
And resold them.
Maybe.
For 10,000.
Your accountant did not hear that.
Right. Rose didn't hear that. But that's all I saw from the legal.
Was the mobile selling on
Was-
that end. That's all I
that's- yeah.
on that. All right. Anybody see anything else?
Yeah, I'll get to number 4. The Friday before, this is a full week before the fair.
Correct.
Now, right now, what can they do?
They can do the Friday before the fair, which doesn't give us time to do any background checks or any,
I thought we changed that to the Thursday.
but they have until Friday as a late date. So
Yeah.
we extended the late day to the Monday after the Friday before the Friday.
Wow, say that again.
I was gonna say, I didn't understand.
So 10 days
You got
before
3
the fair.
shells and you got a pea under one shell. Which one is it though?
10 days before the fair is the Friday before the fair, and then the Monday after that, so like a week
Okay.
before.
Gotcha. That makes
People are
sense.
gonna procrastinate. Can we split leave it on Thursday or?
No, it just doesn't work in the office, and then we still have people coming on that Friday.
We gotta make sure they know then though. I mean, we-
We're gonna
that-
send these ahead of time like we always do and highlight the changes too.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding on the payments. Now, we can pay the taxes online, we can pay the sewer online. Can we have this in a
I'm
form
being-
that we can pay, that they
I'm
can
being
pay
told
online?
no, but I don't know why.
I think I know why, because our licenses can't be paid online either, or inspection fees, because they have to set up like a vendor for that. They have to set up a whole person in finance for that. They have to make a whole account to pay to, like almost create an invoice for each person, and I think it's just too difficult
Because
to
with
do
the
for
electronic
each.
generation that is out there, majority of them
Mhm.
would rather, they would pay the convenience fee to
Mhm.
pay it online, which is what they do for the taxes and the sewer bills.
Right, but you have what I think she's saying
Right.
is you have an account
You
set
already
up.
have
So
one
what I'm
for it.
asking is if somebody wants to pay it online, can they have an account?
That
made
would
for
be a
them?
question for
Yeah.
the finance department and the treasurer's office, because we are told that it's extremely difficult to do for all of our, I mean, and we have a specific set of, restaurants and motels and pools and, or any of these temporary mobile, we can't do it either. It's a good question. I mean, yeah, everywhere else it seems that they can. So I would, pose it to the finance department and see. But the way the system is now, I don't think it's possible.
Just seems odd that it's easier to have somebody come in and pay instead of just hitting the button.
Well, is this something that needs to be vetted through our finance department, like through?
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know that I have all the information, obviously. I don't know their department, but that's what we've been told in the past. It's just very,
Could it be set up that they can send the forms into you online?
They can
The
mail
fill
them.
in-
They can mail in the forms.
I
to
understand
us.
about mailing. I'm still talking about the generation that's all about the computers and don't know what a pen and paper are.
Yeah.
they can do
Can
it
they
for
do
us, but I don't know.
Fill-in form and email it to you?
I guess what's the difference if they write pen and paper, if they email it to us, but yes, I would
The
assume there's
difference
something.
is they would actually have the form where it's filled in
online
online.
form.
What's funny
And-
is they come in with their forms and they're not filled in, and then want to fill them in while they're here. So they don't
Right.
want to do the forms anyways. They would like us to fill them in for them.
Yeah, that's gonna stop.
And that's not going to
No,
happen
no,
either.
agreed.
So,
And we mail them all the forms. We mail, if they were a vendor, we mail them all the rules. Everything gets mailed to them, and probably
Okay.
90% of them come in
With nothing.
with nothing.
Right, but there's still the email
Yeah.
generation out
Yes.
there. I have the same thing if I mail things for the tax returns. If I email them, they will answer me faster than if I mail things through the mail.
Right.
And they will send it back, they will answer it, I'll get the answers on that, is what I'm asking on some of these.
Yeah, but we don't take, like she said, we don't take the form unless the payment is there. And right now, it's not set up to take any kind of payment. So otherwise, we're in the office saying, okay, we have all these forms here, you know, like during voting, you know, we have all these forms sitting here and we're waiting for the checks then to come in. We'd rather it all come together so that we don't have to keep track of it.
Mhm.
They can keep track of it.
Right, I'm just saying, like, even with the $7, if it's the farmers, to send that in with the $7 for the background check. That's still something that they couldn't take over because they would have to have a full account.
From what-
But she
from
said,
the
I don't
seven.
know about
Right.
finance,
Okay.
why it can't be done.
We can ask
We've-
the question and bring it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
and see.
I
Okay.
mean, I know we've asked it
Information and-
before and it's a long drawn out thing and it just can't be done. It's like, okay.
I'm thinking it would probably be like Jim, our IT director, put him together with Danielle and make that adjustment on our website, city's website, with a direct link. And that's how it has to be set up, so it would have to be set up that way. My whole thing with that stuff is, my goal is our administrative staff, clerk staff, that they're not, I mean, they just got bombarded again this year where it's like nonstop. I mean, it's just their whole day, it's either open records requests or fair for like 3 weeks. And it's just nonstop. So I agree with you, Rosie, that there should be a way to streamline this, and John, I mean, because other places do things similar. So it can be done, I'm sure, but I want to make sure that whatever's going on, whatever's worked out, our clerk and, you know, is right in there, because whatever the problems they're experiencing, I don't want them to magnify.
But you can have, like,
We have
with
4
the whole
elections
COVID
next
thing,
year.
if you're
Yeah.
not having
On top of
people
it.
coming in, I mean, that was what the whole streamlining was, and I was just trying to keep on with that.
Understood.
That's all.
Yeah. If it would be easier, yeah, we would love to do
Yeah,
it,
we
because
would.
like I said, next year, we have an election in August.
We would love to
I
take
would
payments
love
online.
online
Yeah,
payments.
I would love it, but
Jim could probably be the one that we start with. I'll work that out with Karen and Shirley, with Jim, to see if what can be done.
Yeah, because we don't really get the full answer, I don't think, always. We just get that it can't be done.
can't be done.
So,
Hmm.
So I just have a question on that. It says all out-of-state vendors, so you're not gonna require the in-state people to do this all before then as well?
what number are you on? I'm sorry.
I'm looking at 4, where it says all out-of-state vendors are required to pay by cash. Is the deadline of Friday, the 23rd of August for everyone?
Yes, yep.
So not just out-of-state vendors?
The out-of-state vendors have to pay by cash money order or cashier's check.
Okay, but so all vendors have to have their paperwork in the Friday before?
Correct.
So a little adjustment to number 4 should probably.
If there were-
Because that to me sounds like I'm in state. And a lot of vendors, I will be honest, wait until the last minute, because if it's gonna
The
be
weather.
100 degrees and they're not gonna get their money back, I think that might be a huge deterrent for vendors. If I have to pay the money and lose that money, and not because of weather, that a week before, that's not enough. I'm doing a fair this weekend and I'm debating whether or not to go, because we're supposed to get 30-mile-an-hour winds and 3 inches of rain, outdoor fair. If I had to pay that a month ago, I would be debating whether or not it was worth, you know what I'm saying? That
Makes sense, right?
as a vendor, and a lot of these folks, they're going show to show, they're not rolling in dough. And to pay money and not get it refunded a week before, that's when you first start watching weather. So I'm just putting that out there as a vendor. I know a lot of people do shows, and if it's crummy weather, they just don't come. But then you chance losing your money. I mean, a week before seems like a lot less work for you guys, but as a vendor, I don't know, there might be vendors who may not even consider, because they don't want to lose the money, because there's
Yeah, but
no
then they're
return.
gonna lose their spots too.
Well, and that's true, right.
And if you're gonna do outside stuff.
And you should know, and that same thing is with
That's
the
part of
times.
the game.
If you're an outside vendor, you bring a light.
Yeah.
6 a.m., oh well, it's tradition, you do
Yeah.
it, you bring a light. But that money part is a big deal to a lot of vendors, a lot of small mom and pop vendors.
Well, that's why we did the 15-foot thing too, instead of 30. You know.
Yeah, but I think that, the week before, I mean, that's, you have to really make sure that that sticks, because I think a lot of people will ask for their money back if they can't come because of weather.
I think, like, the first year, it would be nice to have
Nope.
a
Some,
grace
there's gotta
period.
have a gray period, yeah.
You know, the first year we do this, if,
Put that in there.
There's no
give these
refund.
people a little leeway, so they know, then next year,
Correct.
too bad. If you
Right.
screw up, you know, you screwed up this year, you didn't, but next year, if you screw up, then that's it, you're not getting it.
The problem with the dates, we can't keep doing that to the end of the, I mean, we have people come in at 5 o'clock on Friday.
Right.
And there's just no time for that.
Right.
Even
Agreed.
5 o'clock on
Agree
Thursday.
on that.
We have the health department that goes home at 4 o'clock. We had to have Angie stay late
Yeah.
for somebody to come in late, and then she came in, made this big scene, and she got here after 5. We all stayed here late for her to come in. She decided she was gonna do this and then didn't show up at the fair.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we all just stayed here for you, and
For
it's,
nothing.
that's not the only one. I mean, this happens continuously. That's why we need to have a sooner cutoff date. We can't just keep,
I agree with that.
we can't just keep doing that.
Couple of days at least.
Right, that's why we changed it to the Thursday.
Thursday's
But
not enough time
if we
either.
need to, I
With
mean, I
records
just don't know
checks.
if a week.
The records check was what's holding a lot of things up. And then plus because the problem is you're getting, as a sergeant will confirm, I mean, you can't read their handwriting, they misspell a name, wrong date of birth, wrong whatever, and some of this has been done by design, which is, you know, and then, I thought my zero, whatever. And my thing is too, is like, that's so, if we have to be a little more hard line with it, then we gotta be more, I mean, it's been here since 1958. I mean, this is not, if anybody wakes up and says, oh, I never heard of the fair, you know, come on. So it's not like it's brand new. If we have to make the rules and adjust them a little more for technology and protection of our citizens, we have to do it.
Or they'll fill out where it says, do you have anything, and they'll put NA, and then we run the background check, and they have
20 pages.
20 pages. It's like, well, I don't remember. Well, if you were arrested and put in jail, I think I would remember that. You know, so it's like, if they don't want to change it, then, you know, we can't tell them what's on their record.
It's a cat and mouse thing.
Yeah.
It's a
it's-
very time-consuming
it's like,
cat and mouse
I don't
thing.
remember anything. Okay, well,
And you'll argue with them for 2 hours. They'll stand at the
Yeah.
counter and argue. with
I
you.
got a phone call from one person that was
Yep.
filling out his application in front of you, which was no reason for him to do that. And I kept telling him, they are correct, fill it out, take your lumps.
Mhm.
You've been doing this for 40 years.
yeah.
And that gentleman, I said, I'm not telling you that we're not giving you a license for this.
Right.
I just want you to be honest and put down
What's on your
what
record.
we found on your record.
In all honesty, he's been dropped on his head a few times, so.
Well,
Right, but I mean,
but that, I mean, that's where we go.
This meeting.
You know. I
that's
mean,
what we have to deal
we-
with.
Yeah.
What is the deadline for other events? I know Civic Celebration, it's not a last minute thing.
No.
He has those vendors
Yep.
3 months ahead of time.
Yep.
And that's that.
And that's
it's-
it.
And it's done.
I know McQuonigo Fair, you can get in the day of.
A lot of them can, if there's open spaces.
Yes.
Places are, yeah.
McQuonigo Fair, you can walk in and say, I would like a spot. They give you a little card and they'll tell you exactly where to go and you're set. They do no background checks, they do nothing.
Other farmers markets and other, I'm just thinking of the other events in Franklin that I deal with. Like Recraft and Relic at the sports complex, we have those vendors. I have the list now and it's in November. So they may add one, but it wouldn't be the day of, it would be 2 weeks before.
Like you have a Christmas thing coming up, how long do you have to have that?
I talked to John today about that, and Mira has been working on that list. There's a partial list right now. We require it, the list 48 hours, but they're not doing their piece on background checks and whatever for that fair.
So there's no background checks on that fair?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, we
Why
don't
not?
have, I mean, well,
Christmas,
Exactly.
Well,
but
the,
yeah,
um,
it should be equal across the board, in my opinion.
the civic celebration, we do them at.
So this
Yeah.
is the Civic Celebration Commission that's running this, so then maybe it would
Yeah,
be the
then we
same.
would do them.
So,
Yeah, and we don't have a list of vendors
We don't
yet.
have a list of anything
I
yet.
don't think she has.
but it's
any.
in November.
No, I don't think she
end
has
of
any
November.
either,
So.
No, but we do them for civics, so we
But
would
that's
do
in
'em.
one specific area where they have control over how many people come and everything else and where they put people and everything, correct? I've never been.
Yeah.
It-
Well,
we've
this
never had
is-
it before.
This
Oh,
is
no,
new.
I've never been even to the
Oh, the
Christmas
fourth.
parade or anything over there.
Oh, we've never, well, we've had a Christmas parade, but it really hasn't been.
No, this is new this year with,
It's brand new.
but the Civic Celebration, yeah, that's a set, this is their
Right,
location.
I know 4th of July, and I haven't been to the 4th of July parade for probably 4 or 5 years. But I know the last time I was there, they had specific areas where certain people were.
Mhm.
But to control or something on this, to set up and say, okay, well, how are we gonna do that when Joe here has one and you have a host there and you decide to have this person and that person? And you'd have to have all the homeowners in line also. If you're gonna have a, say, all your vendors have to be checked in and have their stuff by a certain day.
You mean the week, like the week before?
Yeah,
That
You know,
homeowners are still renting their spaces
Yes,
that week
sure.
of.
yes. Cause if they take the money for somebody and then they say, go get a permit, cause I know that City Hall says, don't get your permit until you get a spot.
So I guess that's what the commission.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
It's just such a weird dynamic. so.
Right.
It's a
Yes.
unique situation.
But the only thing, again, I'll go back to is 1958. I mean, none of this has changed. So I think the harder line we set, the earlier the better. Get them in line, get that message out, just like,
We gotta let the homeowners know, the people with
Well,
business properties and
and I think
businesses.
something could be mailed out
So they could remind the people, hey, you gotta get your permit ahead of time.
to the addresses on St. Martin's Road, because something can be mailed out from Romy's up to to Herta's or Sweeney's now.
Yeah.
And that way, I just want to, I agree with Madam Clerk. We have to do something. It's got to be done. And just get the message out there a little earlier. But there's no reason why they could, I mean, I know they're, BSing us a lot with this whole background stuff, and they're dragging. You are dead nuts on, right, Lori, with, it's all weather related. And they come flooding in, and they all come flooding in Thursday, Friday, but how do we balance that?
Right.
And I just think it's
Yeah.
some sort of reasonableness, but it's gotta give them more time.
Because there's a lot of stuff we have to do
lot.
after we have all of them done. We have to prepare all those lists, and then we have to get, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, is the vendor, is that outdoor fair? I mean, to me, isn't that a chance you take? If you're saying
It
outdoor,
is, it's a
Right.
chance you
range, I
take,
mean,
but a
I've
lot
had
of
outdoor
them run
events.
so tight that, they balance, is it worth going, a lot of places you can go the day of and get a spot.
Yeah, we're not one of
I
those
don't get
places.
background checked at the Wisconsin State Fair, I'm a vendor there, and at Harvest,
Right.
they don't do background checks. I mean, that's a big deal, but you do everything online and you have to have your things in, I already replied for my space for 2024 at the Wisconsin State Fair. But this is the only place I've ever had a background check to be a vendor. So that piece of it is unique in itself as a vendor. But that's the only place I've ever had a background check.
And we did talk about, in an earlier meeting,
We
we
did.
talked about it,
Right.
and then we talked to the chief, and he said he wanted to keep it. so-
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you have all these people that come and no one background checks them, or they're people that they have working for them,
Yeah.
nobody background checks them
Yeah.
either.
We-
It
we
just
said that
seems-
too.
We know.
It just seems like to me, that would be a huge way to settle all of the extra.
Is by dropping the
Yeah,
background checks?
yeah.
I don't find that feasible.
To drop it.
No, Rosie, what are your thoughts?
On the background, it's $7. I mean, it's a
Right,
deduction
it's just
no
the
matter what,
timing
when you
of it
do
makes it more
That's-
challenging.
I don't think it's the monetary value, but it's the time sink.
It's the
Correct.
time, right, it's the
Right.
time, it puts that added
But if we
emphasis
could
of
get,
time.
because a lot of the vendors that are out there, they'll say, I wanna come back next year, and they start to pay for their spots. So I think it should be something to the landowners, the property owners, something needs to say, if you know your vendor is coming back, they've already prepaid for their spot, they told you that they wanna come back, and they called you in July and said they wanna come back, make sure they get their permit and get that taken care of.
We mail these all out to them. When do we mail those out?
They usually get mailed out in
May, June, something like that?
June.
They were mailed out late
They were
this year.
later this
Yeah.
year, yeah.
They were mailed out late this year, but usually once those are mailed out,
I don't think they were mailed out.
I didn't get my permit renewal until almost July.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was
later.
later
We were
than
waiting
normal.
for.
But still, you have
That's still
July,
3
Right,
months.
Waiting
August.
for a
right,
meeting
no, but I'm
to
saying,
decide.
they start
Meeting or
contacting
change.
the landowners as soon as those come out.
Right. I don't
So-
know, do they?
Yes,
Oh,
that's what I'm
okay.
saying. They start contacting landowners
Okay.
as soon as they come out.
Okay.
Because that's the reminder, hey, Labor Day is
Mhm.
coming up.
Mhm.
So if we could get them to, hey, you're gonna get a spot for me, go get your permit.
Right.
Or you
What-
can't rent a spot for me until you show me that have your application in for a permit. Because I do that for anybody that is new for me.
Well, I'm
They
reassured.
don't get a spot unless they show me they have a
Right.
permit.
Well, we have some people that come in and they just want to get the permit and then they're going to go look for a spot. And we're like, well, no, find a spot first. What happens if you can't get one? I mean, that's why we explain it to them. That way.
Yeah, no, like this year the fair's the 1st and 2nd too, I see, of September.
So it's even earlier.
2024.
That's
Yeah.
early.
So it's an early one.
Yeah.
So you want it done by the 23rd, so you give them a full week. It'd be nice to go to 26th on Monday, because what if it's postmarked on the 23rd?
We have the late day is the 26th.
Okay.
So they pay a $200 fine then?
Mhm.
But if it was postmarked on the 23rd, do they have to pay the late and you
No.
get it on
No,
Monday?
no.
Okay, then you're good, okay.
And they can get a, what is it, that you always have to have it signed by notary somewhere
Yeah.
else?
Some people who mail them in with their
Okay, that's
check,
what
they
I'm
get it
asking.
done by someone else. I don't know, why do we
I
have?
don't know, we've been trying to
We've
figure
been trying to
out
figure out why
everything is notarized.
Sandy has that on there. We don't know why that was ever on
Okay.
there. To me, I don't know.
I mean, I
don't know.
noticed that the applications seem to be a lot more streamlined than it has been in the past,
We've been
where it
working
used to
on
be
that.
like
We've
6
been working
pages,
on
it's
it.
down to like
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, we've been working on it. It's so
Okay.
I mean, we're trying to streamline it so it's easier and not confusing for anyone, to do, and we've been working on that. That's the same thing with the rules. I mean,
Yeah, we don't
trying
see
to,
that much.
some of the stuff was on here, it was just moved in a different area because people don't seem to
Yeah.
read it.
If we're gonna move things
I-
around, can we move the dog sale up higher and fold that out?
Yeah, what number are you?
It's
looking?
11.
There's a tiny little one, number 11.
Oh, there you go.
This is short.
Oh, yeah.
No dogs. Don't sell dogs.
Where would you like to move it? I can move it wherever you want.
I mean, that should be like number
That's
1.
fine.
We only had-
It is
had-
buried in the middle there.
We only had one dog thing.
12 and 13, that was always prohibited.
Yep.
But the wording changed because what was prohibited was illegal
Okay.
weapons,
okay.
and there's really no such thing as an illegal weapon.
Right, okay, so
So
that's
we
good.
made the wording better because we do have a vendor that brings in swords, and
I saw him.
we don't really want that. And some of the air pistols that he has don't have the orange end on them, so they
So
look
they
like
look
real
like
Where
guns.
was he this year? I didn't see him.
He's
By
not
him.
in there.
I saw him up near him. He just
No, I didn't even go on
I
that
didn't see
side.
him
He
this
was
year.
on-
You saw him.
Yeah.
in the gravel area. That's where I saw the airsoft.
Because he used to
without the
always
orange
be in
tips.
in Bruce's old spot on the.
You know Bruce.
on
I know,
the-
I don't, but okay.
He used to be in Bruce's old spot, where they have the parking for the,
That's right.
where it was all empty, so basically kitty
He
corner
was
from
around
my
that
house.
area.
That's where he used to be, he wasn't there this year, it was completely empty.
There was,
I-
it was
I-
And
around that
when he
area.
fills out his application, he puts rummage and other items. So he had like this much rummage, and then he had weapons. That was his other. So we're gonna try and be a little more stringent on when they say other to explain what their
The rules,
other
that's,
is.
okay, that's all you do.
Yeah, that's how we did it.
Everything else looks pretty good. My thing is, how's the Lions Club in like Swiss Street and Romney's feel about the hour change?
To us, it don't make a difference. We're there at 6 in the morning, but there's no,
Yeah.
years ago, it used to be when it was a farmer's market, like.
But like, no, you guys with music and what have you.
Typically, they're not on Sunday, they're not starting music until noon anyways.
Yeah, but now it's closing early though.
Man, it could change.
That wouldn't affect us.
1 hour, and here's how they could get around this. They could skirt that. Well, first of all, Romy's doesn't start playing music till 8 a.m. 'Cause we were down there after they were rocking in the morning. But I've encouraged Romy's, Landmark, Swiss to get a special event permit for the night before, or special, event to run at, later hours, but no one's ever taken me up on that offer. It's been going on for years and years, so why they do or don't do it, but that is a way that they could legally approach the city to get through, a special, if they want to do it. I mean, but they don't, because it's busy as hell, and they're like, oh, I'm done, I want to, they all get excited, but then after they're working their 14-hour, they're like, get out of here.
And it would be nice to open up the roads
Yes.
a little bit earlier, so that's nice. But I think the 6 AM, I would rather see it move to 7 AM instead of 8 AM. Because there's quite a few people that show up there.
There are a lot of people, especially this year because it was hot.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people there.
There were a lot of people there.
Yeah. And granted, at 6 o'clock, it's dark out, but at 7 o'clock, it's not. And then for getting people in, for keeping that road open an extra hour would make a big difference.
So everybody's talking about good with the 8 PM close. Or, excuse me, 8 PM close on Sunday, 6 PM on Monday, not change, but on Monday, have it open at 7 AM, not 8 AM?
I think you'd be better off with that than an 8 AM
Well, on the
start.
same thing, if we were gonna keep the times, you wanted to keep the times the same, why can't open that up at 7 AM on both Sunday and Monday?
That's your guys'
I'm just
decision.
asking.
Does that have to be like a motion or?
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
It would- it
I
would-
brought it
I'll
out
make
there.
a motion that we open on 7 o'clock Sunday and Monday.
I'm second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it.
So then you'll have to do something for council.
Yeah. Well, all this, whenever it gets changed, will have to go.
I didn't think there was.
Because it has to go, the code will have to be changed.
Oh.
I also make a motion that we have it on Sunday to 8 PM instead of 9 PM. You didn't put that in your thing, so.
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, 8 PM.
You have it bolded for the 8 PM, so I'm making a motion that we
I'm sorry, we were talking.
put,
Thank you.
because that was not in Ken's, so.
Okay.
All those in favor of to have it for Sunday, 7 AM to 8 PM, and then on Monday from 7 AM to 6 PM.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
There is one thing I want to bring up. The bathrooms. Some establishments lock their bathrooms, so you cannot use the establishment's bathrooms. So they are only using the porta potties that the city has paid to put out there.
What establishments?
Romy's. Because I specifically went there to go to the bathroom when I was there, and they said you can't use those. He locks them for Labor Day weekend. You have to use the restrooms outside.
It wasn't just Romy's, there was another establishment.
Yeah, I didn't go, that's the only one I went to, so I don't know. I did
We were
hear,
walking around.
Was it
Yeah.
Somebody
I
said
was
Lan-
turned away unless I bought something from the bar.
yeah, because I heard there was one other one, but I didn't know which one it was.
We only have a few, so.
Was
I'm trying, I don't want to say the wrong name. Mayor, do you remember?
What does it rhyme with?
I,
Oh,
where
Michelle.
were you?
Yeah,
Where were you? Walking around with the mayor.
Sounds like what?
Were you across from
We were
Crossroads?
everywhere.
Were you, was it Crossroads? Were
Well,
you-
can they do that? Or is it legal? Or, I mean, if it's legal for them to do that.
That's my question, is
No.
can they legally do that?
No.
Then if they have to be
Even with the
open?
fire department, when I was on the fire department, if they got, is the bar running?
Yes.
Then they gotta have those bathrooms.
So then we'll just,
Health code. would
Even
be
their
the
employees
same.
were
That
not
will
allowed to
be
use the
addressed.
bathrooms.
Yeah.
I know, I've heard those things too.
Yeah,
And I
you
think
have
we
to.
should make a point, and I can also reach out to the barnums, let them know that, but if it's inspection day, would that be also something that you walk into the establishment to make sure their bathrooms are open and
No.
functioning?
No, because we typically don't do the inspection of those licensed brick and mortars that day, because
Mhm.
we have so many other.
Were they closed or just closed to non-patrons?
No,
No,
it
they were
says
closed.
closed, you have to use the portable
The employees
restrooms
couldn't even
outside.
use them.
Right.
That's a huge problem right there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
use
Yes,
that.
Because you have to be able to wash.
Yes,
Yeah.
if they're making food, they have.
Well,
to.
Yeah. Well, they have-
if there's a line of 6 people waiting to use that bathroom, then you're gonna have to use the porta potty.
Right.
They
And
And
can't
how
close
is
it.
that fair though to an establishment if they have a line of people to use their restrooms and they've got paying customers that are there to eat?
Well, they got 20, how many porta?
Tons.
Part of the fair.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just the thing is, I had moved more bathrooms down to that area because they said that they were overflowing. Well, there's also bands there in the late hours of the night, and I've heard from some people in DPW that Romy's down there used to rent his own restrooms and put some down there as well.
Well, on that note, if you're talking about Romy himself or Nate, because Nate's only taken over for a
Well,
few years.
Well,
Romy's, if
I
Romy's
don't
running
know.
their own restrooms, then they could close their little bathroom. I mean, you can't
Not
hardly.
if they,
Yeah, I don't know.
if they've got people inside the bar.
All right, then they gotta keep it open.
And I think that's,
And
well,
I think Nate'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them all,
Yeah,
I'll talk to them all,
I think
I'll be
they will
forced
too.
to make the rounds.
Yeah.
If not.
I'll be there Monday for primary.
But I mean, I'm gonna move the bathrooms back to where we had them originally. I'm not gonna.
How many were originally at Romy's?
I can go get my sheet.
I want to say 3, I feel like.
That's it.
No, there were more down
There
there.
had to be a
That
dozen.
place is, I mean, you'll
And
have,
Lions Club's got 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you got a couple hundred people out there at night at home,
We
it's
could use
insane.
some more,
Right,
but
but
we
then
don't
the city's
place-
paying for restrooms.
I know, I know.
It's
That's
not
why-
fair. I mean, that, and that's expensive.
Another thing I wanted to bring up is, people were saying there's empty spaces. The only reason there's empty spaces across the street from that field next to Butsky's, between Butsky's
You
and
know where Butsky's is.
Wagners. When they redid the road, they screwed it up. I don't know if the city could,
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
but they
Same with in
know
front
The
of my
ditch.
place.
the ditches.
Yes.
But, by Butsky's there, if they put some more fill in there, I mean, people used to be able to pull right in there, you had plenty of room to park.
And now it's
Now
Because
pretty
now the
steep.
sidewalk is there.
You gotta be half Billy Goat to get up and down, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, put in 3-4 loads of fill, grade it off, plant some grass, and it would fix it. It
There's
would
no
be
way to
an
put a
easy-
car behind there without it rolling into the.
Okay.
There's a few spots like that, it would be a very easy fix to straighten it out.
I'll
It's all
have
related
Kevin
to
Slater
the
reach out to you,
road.
okay? For that.
All right,
No, I have the same exact
well, you're really.
70
Well,
feet
you've
of
got-
ditch that I never had before in my
I know,
life.
that's why, so we said Kevin reach out to Kenny, not you.
Put in the catch basin and tile it,
Is that
fill
there?
it.
St. Martin's, West North Cape.
I remember that in the beginning and Glenn told me no.
Okay, right here.
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
not right.
So he has 6 bathrooms down there.
Originally.
Six regular, 1 handicap, 1 sink, and 1 waterless.
See, there's way too many, I think, by Herdus, and then more, a lot of stuff by Herdus can't get moved down there.
Sweeney's.
No, Maddie's.
Because you took 4 from over by my side.
Right, so he had 10 there.
Wow. I'll address to make sure that they're all open. And if they're not, what do you do? Can they get
Shut 'em down
fined?
Like everybody else.
Can they get fined?
Could the, just getting back to that, could the city do that?
I wouldn't fine them for that, I would just open them.
Well, I know, but if
Or
I'm,
then they can't operate their inside restaurant.
well, that's the kicker, and
Yeah.
I'll let them know that that's a possibility, that they could lose the ability to operate an inside establishment
Yeah.
if you're not going to keep it open.
Which is true, like, because when McDonald's was remodeling, they closed their bathrooms, I closed them, because they can't have them.
Fair enough, that's what I'll tell them.
There is precedent.
There
Yes.
is precedent for that, yes.
Yes, there is, excellent.
Well, here's the thing, somebody like, they might wanna just close the inside, because everything's outside anyway.
Like Dennis does.
Dennis closes
Yeah, he
inside.
closes the inside. yeah.
Right.
I mean, staff is in there, but
Right,
there's no,
Yeah, but I mean,
Service.
you're making a killing inside and out. I mean, you get, it's just wall-to-wall people. It's just,
They're
that's
not gonna shut the inside down.
never. They'll be open. We'll address it with them. Or I'll let them know that they could be closed because McDonald's was closed during the same thing. I'll put it off on McDonald's, sure.
It's
Why
just the
not?
thing is, and I
I'll be the
know
Ray
some of
Kroc.
the places have events going on after that, but the city's paying for the restrooms
100% agree.
for the fair. Not for after curricular activities or, you know what I mean?
Well, let's
I
bring it up.
just,
We're good.
Right, I don't know if 6 is a feasible number for down there, or 7 with the handicap, seeing that I have so many over by me on
Right.
both sides of the street.
Right.
And that's where they come in, so if cars are parked over at Country Dale, that's where they would go to the bathroom before they go back to their cars for parking, or it's closest.
Right, but this year I know some people that were there later at night when the bands were going on and stuff and said that the bathrooms were all full then.
There were hundreds of people there at night, hundreds.
So, I mean,
And they
I
can't
don't think
pump
they're
them.
getting full from the people who were
During the fair.
during the fair. It's
Nighttime,
Yes.
shenanigans.
whatever you want to call it.
I like shenanigans.
It's just the city, it's a
Super
lot of
super.
money for the city to pay for these bathrooms. I mean, it's
Should we address that again?
paying for them.
No, looking for another vendor that'll do cheap.
You can try.
Well,
I spent an entire day and a half looking.
Oh,
There is no one that will come in. And the biggest
Do that
problem
cleaning.
is do the
Pump is the
cleaning.
big,
Yeah.
big
Yeah,
pump up.
Right.
I'll start
That's
looking
why
at
they
this.
gave us more bathrooms than we used to have with the other company. Because some of them, they're not gonna come in, but they do come in, I don't know, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know what time they come in.
3:30.
But you won't find,
The pump guy.
yeah, they wanna do it, they'll say, oh yeah, we'll do it, but you have to come in. No, they won't do that.
It's outside my bedroom window.
Yeah,
It's 3:30.
Okay. So, I mean, and I did look, and this company, I think, comes out of
Chicago.
Chicago
I
or
found
Indiana. Oh, no, I found this company.
Okay.
Because I called them, yeah. I went through and I just started calling, and the old company gave me
They
some
did a good
names.
job.
Yeah.
You know,
They do a
We had
great
no
job.
Yeah, they
complaints
do a
by us.
great
We had no
job.
complaints by us.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the last company that you had, they never, they never came in that morning. Oh, man, I got there at 6 in the morning, and just, I mean, we finally got them in there.
It was a wake-up call.
Well, it was a wake-up
Yeah.
call.
So I don't know what you guys
They
want to
did
do
a
with
good
that. But, I mean, the price usually goes up every year, so I think it was close to 17,000 this year.
17,000, okay.
So, I mean, I try to ask her, well, if we sign now, will you? And I have been able to get her sometimes to hold the price. But this year she said she couldn't because of gas and everything else. She said everything is just getting so expensive, so.
Number 21, is that a new rule?
No,
No,
it's just written a little clearer.
yeah. That's not a new rule. That's
So
always.
we
been.
always had it that in order to, you had to be coming out of the garage, and this is stating that alongside the garage.
So we had several homeowners that wanted to do this, and we told them the garage, and they didn't have garages, so we had to come up with a better way to state this.
Hmm.
Several. Yeah,
It was always on there. It's just worded a little different.
because of the garage issue.
It's worded properly, I think it's pretty clear. You can still have it, you just can't be
Right.
way out in front. Yeah. I like it, can you like it?
And they
Sure.
wanted
Ken likes
it,
it.
the ones without the garages wanted an actual footage from the road, and I'm like, I can't give you a
Oh, I
footage, you
wouldn't do
just
that.
can't have it up in front of your house.
Right.
Back, I said back where your garage would be, and then they came up with some more excuses. Well, our garage, well, we don't have one. Are you going to shut us down if we don't have one? No, you just need to have it back away from the road. So there was more than two that came and didn't
I
have
know
a
who
garage.
one is, because she called me, and she's like, all I have is the concrete for where my garage would be, but I'm not allowed to put a garage up.
Oh,
That's
see,
just Sovietsky's property.
Yeah, oh, okay, then, yeah.
Vasquez is actually.
And I didn't,
I'm just throwing a name out there.
I didn't
don't
hear
know.
about the concrete at all. The two people that I spoke to personally, and I know there was at least one or two more that came in, they were like in the backyard, and I said, that's fine. But then they were trying to question, well, how close can we be to the road? How many feet can we be? So that's why we were trying to figure out a good description of where they should be away, not a foot.
That's fine. When we're done with this part, I want to go back to something. So are we done with this?
We have to make a motion though to make these highlighted changes. I'm
Yeah, we
assuming.
haven't done any of that yet.
Yeah, except for those times.
Yeah,
For the times.
except for the times on that.
How's everybody feel about the stuff that's highlighted? I don't see a
No,
problem.
I don't see no problem.
I'll make a motion that we, other than the time changes, we make a motion to
Accept as presented.
accept the highlighted changes
As presented.
as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Because I came late, Madam Sheriff, did they address the garbage issue? Okay. Okay, you're satisfied with it? I mean, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure. Thank you. That's all I had.
I had one more, regular, number 3, back to it, was about parking for the, resident parking. You had, Jason had, we were talking before, you had somebody that said something about,
Oh, it was, I think it was just the clerk's office trying to be very generous with residents where it wasn't sure on where the break was between where the barricades went up. So they issued more permits, or the parking passes to the people, and they were vastly confused about it. They're like, well, it's never been like this. Well, and we have talked, and they have been removed, so that way there will be no confusion for the residents or for the church in the future. So.
oh, for the church, more or less, okay.
I know it was a
No,
resident.
It was a resident,
Resident,
and
yeah,
they,
it was resident.
they took that over to the church that was
St.
across the
Martin's Store,
street.
yeah.
So there was a lot of consternation around that, but it all got worked out, and everyone was happy as clams when the fair went on.
I have one with that parking, is if we could put on, when they send out, that they just need to talk to the landowner or wherever they're parking and make sure that they're parking not up to into a vendor spot. That was my only thing, is I had a person down the road that came in middle of the night, parked right up to the road. And the vendor came in, and I'm like, okay, and they came in like, well, somebody's in my spot, and I'm like, I don't know. I had to track down who it was, and they actually moved it, but they said, oh, well, we don't know, we got this parking thing, and it said we could park anywhere. And I'm like, that's kind of not what it says, but
No, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
I don't get one, so I just was going by what the sticker was in their window,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, they get that with a letter.
Yeah, and it tells them where they can park
Where
in
they
the
can
letter.
park.
Right, but I don't know if the letter states that you should actually make sure you're in a parking spot, not just
Well, you
in the
think
middle of
common
the.
sense would know that.
Yeah, that's.
Common sense ain't
Yes.
common.
Stop giving people
There's
their
a lot of
credit.
that.
Surely we have this discussion every
Yeah.
day.
Does anybody have a date in mind for the next meeting date? We should let the common council go through this and.
Can I ask you a question before you do a date? Did you want to just stay with the fees as it's written here, or did you want to go with the fees that you had in the past for the
I would like
size
to
wise?
not change the fees,
Stay at the 15-foot increments?
yeah.
15 and 30, and
15
then the
and
5
30,
extra.
and then they could add on to,
Okay. So when you did the highlighted changes, we'll just do all the highlighted changes except new this year and number 2.
right.
Okay. Okay.
So number 7, the times are gonna have to change as well.
Yeah, I wrote that on.
Yeah.
So is this going to be on the October 17th agenda?
No, it is not.
Just asking.
If not, you better get going.
No, probably the first one in November, but not this one.
No problem.
And I'll move that number 11 up to number 1. That's where you want it. No?
It needs to
No.
be somewhere besides in the middle.
I can make it
Very
bold. Do you want it
bolder.
bold?
Just
Yeah.
bold it, that's it.
Yeah, make it bold.
Okay, I'll just make it bold.
There you go. I think the hours and the other stuff is a lot more important than
Yes.
Monday night, it's all a dog at the fair.
I saw one dog fight, so yeah, I agree. Yep. Oh, my house.
I did have
All
somebody
in built.
talk, or
Oh my
a
God,
couple
how
people
does
talk
that
to me
smell
about
like?
having dogs at the fair. They didn't think that would be something that we would want because for the health of the dogs and for the safety of people involved. I know
Yeah,
there
this
hasn't
year
been
I
any.
hardly saw any. A lot of
And I
years.
only saw one when I was there,
Yeah.
but I did have a
I
couple.
saw
walking dogs?
walking
Yeah.
dogs.
There were a lot of dogs.
There were a lot.
There were
I
dogs.
put a,
There
I
was
put a
lots of
bucket out
dogs.
for them.
Couple of
So, and I just wanted to bring it up because I had a couple
We've asked and
calls.
approached that in the past, and we were turned down by the city attorney saying we cannot prohibit dogs
I don't know
from
how.
walking up and down the street because it's an open street.
Right. That was my only thing, and that's what I said to somebody, I'm not sure how we would prohibit that, but I would bring it up to you.
Going back to your common sense thing,
Yeah.
it's too hot, they shouldn't have brought them out.
Yeah. And I think I spoke with the health department and you didn't haven't had any dog bites,
We have not.
so.
Oh, yeah, we did have dog
We had a
fight.
job
Well, that
fight between two.
was designed, that was organized.
That was organized.
Rosie organized, side hustle.
No, you're
Are we done, Madam
missing-
Chair?
You're doing the
I gotta
chickens
go.
versus the dogs.
Next meeting
Our
date?
next meeting date, anybody have, if you're not gonna put that on there till November, are we looking after December, or are we gonna look into next year?
Next year.
I would say next year.
Yeah, I was gonna
Early
say there's really not
February,
much you
March.
can do. By then, I'll try to see if I can get a quote for the restrooms too.
Ooh.
How about April 17th, if we're gonna stick with a Wednesday?
Oh, when is the election? It's April.
April, it's the first
Watch this.
Tuesday. It's the
Watch
first
this.
Tuesday in April.
The first Tuesday in April is April 2nd.
Election day is the second?
So what day did you say?
April 17th.
Yeah, that would.
I should give us enough time.
Huh?
I think I should give us enough time.
Is everybody good with the 5:30 or? 5:30?
Yeah.
Good with 5:30?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right, next meeting date for April 17th at 5:30. Everybody agreeable? Say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody gonna make a leave?
What's that?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Meeting adjourned.